What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, I am gonna be talking about how to change your life in under a year. I'm gonna give you guys a brief story about myself from the past 2 years, how I went from making just under 45,000 a year to now making 6 figures and living in a nice area. So let's get into the video. I'm gonna start the story from 2021 and walk my way up to the end of last year, which was 2023. Let's get into the video. Back in 2021, I was working as a maintenance tech for a really nice hotel in the Dallas, Texas area. It's a really famous hotel. A lot of you guys know it's a 5-star hotel. I'm not gonna say the name of the hotel. I liked the job. It was a fun job. I learned a lot of skill sets. I learned GFC. I learned a little bit of plumbing, a little bit of electricity and electronics, working on boards and stuff like that. I learned how to work on refrigerants, coffee machines, ice machines, and stuff like that. I picked up a lot of skills working that job. It was good. I did that job for just under a year, a couple of months. It wasn't on just under a year. It was a couple, 8 months, I believe. I did that job. So while I was doing that job, I was picking up on new skills and new skills and new skills. While I was doing that job, I was getting trained on IT, especially support specialists. I was taking classes. I got my Comtier A+ from network. No, it's not network. It's from IT Pro TV. So I was taking training classes from IT Pro TV. I eventually got my Comtier A+ while I was still working that maintenance job, making $22 to $23 per hour. I mean, if you do the math, including overtime, it was just under $45,000 a year. So while I got that, it took me a couple of months to get my Comtier A+ while I was training. So basically, after work, I would go home, I would play video games for an hour or two, then I would train on the weekends for 5 hours. That was the time frame I gave myself, 5 hours every weekend. I would do 2.5 hours on a Saturday, 2.5 hours to 3 hours on a Sunday. A minimum of 5 hours that weekend, about 20 to 24 hours a month in training. So I did end up, booking my Comtier A+ examination, taking the examination, and I passed it. Gotten the certification. I was applying to jobs on Indeed.com, support specialist jobs. Eventually, I had gotten a call from a really nice big company as well. They're like, hey, we see your resume. I put a lot of bullshit on my resume. You know what I'm saying? I put I have experience in this. Granted, I got the training to do that, and I was learning on my virtual machine. I had a VM at my apartment. I was learning. I had home servers with basically where I would practice everything I can think of, virtualization, hosting, web hosting. I would practice in a lot of Linux and open source software. I used to run Fedora and Pop OS, even elementary OS for all of you Linux nerds here. So I was training. I knew what I was doing, So from that training, I was confident enough to basically state I had those skills on my resume. So this company reached out to me based on my resume. I had a mini interview. They asked me a bunch of questions. I had given the right answers, basically. I got scheduled for a proper interview. So I got scheduled for that interview. I did a little bit of rehearsal, just getting my basic knowledge base, reminding myself certain things, certain terminology that applies in the IT industry as a support specialist. I did my rehearsal. It came the day of the interview. The day of the interview came, I got asked by the IT manager a bunch of questions. I passed, gave them the right answers. I got hired. When I got hired at that job, I was making just under $53,000 a year. So I went from $45,000 a year to $53,000 a year. While I was doing that job, I picked up on a bunch of new skills. Server admin, network admin, system admin, network engineering, a bunch of other stuff. I learned that job. I was practicing on my home server, developing the skill sets and updating my resume. Each knowledge base I learned properly, I would update my resume, say, hey, I know how to do this, you know what I'm saying? So I kept updating my resume. Eventually, I had a contracting company reach out to me. I got reached out to by this company. It was a contracting company. They do a lot of IT work in the networking space. So they build out a lot of servers for small businesses, network servers for primary internet, backup internet, and all that stuff. So the company reached out to me. We scheduled an interview. I passed the interview. So I went from making $55,000 a year annually to $80,000 to $105,000. Again, granted overtime, because we had the ability to work overtime because it was a contracting company. It wasn't a W-2 job. So I went from W-2 to 1099. So I set up my LLC. I incorporated myself. I set up a payroll, all that good stuff. So I became basically a solopreneur, contracting my services to a contractor that gave me contract. So I got that job. I was doing that job. I liked that job. It was smooth. A lot of the stuff I already knew, doing network admin stuff on my home server, practicing. So the skill set, the knowledge base was already there. I was making, good money. Good months, I would make $10,000. On slow months, I would make, $7,000 sometimes, just on the 6,500. So it wasn't a flat amount of money I was making every month, but the range was wide. But basically, I would say I averaged about $85,000 to $9,000 a month. That's what I averaged. I worked that job for a couple of months, did it, I liked it. Eventually, I quit. Why did I quit the job? Because I knew I could do more. I knew I have a little bit of experience I could share. I always wanted to start my own IT business, an IT service company, working for small businesses. So I quit that company. I quit doing the contract work. I saved up a bunch of money. I moved to a new area, got my apartment, had enough money in my savings, pretty much enough money for 6 months. I was good for 6 months. I paid rent for like the whole year, had 6 months worth of feeding money, and some money in my business account for, business stuff. So I quit that job, and now we're in 2024 after I quit that job. So what are my goals for this year? My goal for this year is growing my IT service company into multiple 6 figures a month. It's gonna happen. You know why I know it's gonna happen? Because I have a plan. It's just not me, being wishy-washy and manifesting it. I have a winning mindset. I have an abundance mindset, but I also am realistic. I know you have to put in the work, then leave the rest to the world, to the universe, whatever you believe in, which I have already done. I have the skill set and the knowledge base. I have a solid business plan. I am currently working on that business in the background while I also work in this YouTube business to scale both of them at the same time. Eventually, when my IT business is well established, I can set up operations management team to run that business while I'm the CEO, then focus on my YouTube channel, making self-improvement content, and just keep on developing my skill sets, my streams of income, investing in other interesting stuff I will be sharing in the future. So yeah, that was how I went from making $45,000 a year to making low 6 figures. Granted, it's still 6 figures. So yeah, if I'm able to do it, you're able to do it. All it takes is learning, and learning. You gotta develop skills. In order to make more money, you have to develop skills, useful skills that can solve people's problem. You gotta be able to solve people's problem, whatever problem it may be. I recommend looking for problems you're able to solve that pays high for solving those problems, and developing the skill set that helps you solve that problem and scaling it. Scaling it could be starting your own agency, could be starting your own business, whatever it may be, whatever scaling means to you. I recommend doing that. I developed a skill set I had been always interested in since I was a little kid. I went from making $45,000 to making low 6 figures, and this year I'm going all in. I'm gonna scale that business to multiple 6 figures because I have a solid plan that's gonna work. While I scale that business, I'm gonna scale my YouTube channel. My goal for this YouTube channel is $100,000 before the end of the year, and I know what's gonna happen. My first year, before the end of this year, I will have 100,000 subscribers, because I'm gonna be consistent. I'm gonna be putting out high quality videos, tips, guides on improving personal finance, improving health and fitness, and improving foundation, improving faith, improving your framework, your frame, your mindset. So those are the type of videos you can expect from me. Videos in the self-improvement niche, improving finance, fitness and health, and mindset. So again, if I can do it, you too can do it. Let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comment section below. Did you also go from making just under 50,000 to multiple 6 figures?